I'm Noah.
And I'm Marci.
We grew up watching Disney Channel, and every few months, a new Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM, would be released.
Since we were kids, we would love to get snacks and spend those evenings enjoying new, relatable movies on our favorite channel.
Well, now we're not really kids anymore, but we thought we could revisit our younger selves by rewatching all 110 DCOMs, and we want you to join us for the nostalgia.
So, every Friday, we are sharing our thoughts and feelings on the DCOM of the week. So join us, the DCOM kids, in our discussion after rewatching Motocrossed.
I don't know how, but we went way faster that time and got through the end significantly faster. Welcome to DCOM Kids, everybody.
Hello.
We are discussing Motocross today.
Yes.
And I need to get my notes pulled up because I have the switcher over there.
Yes.
Yeah. This was one of those DCOMs that I remember watching with Andrew specifically.
Yeah.
I know we probably watched a lot with Andrew because,
Yeah, but this one we rewatched.
Yeah, I do distinctly remember watching this one with Andrew.
Yeah.
And I somehow messed that camera up again.
It's okay.
Is the table not centered on that poster? Something's off. I don't know. I need to spend some time like tomorrow and try to figure out what's going on with the set because something's not right.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's okay.
So you know what, Andrew? I know you're listening or watching. I forget which one you do now. I think you watch now. Maybe you listen on YouTube. I'm dedicating this one to you, brother. I should probably call him soon.
You should probably call him.
So this is Motocrossed. It was released in 2001, and it was written by Ann Austin and Douglas Sloan.
Awesome. All right. Our cast includes, is this Alana or Elena?
I believe it's Alana.
Okay. Alana Austin as Andrea Rose.
Trevor O'Brien was Andrew Carson.
Riley Smith as Dean Talon.
Scott Terra played Jason Carson.
Mary Margaret Humes played Geneva Carson.
Timothy Carhart, yes, played Edward Carson. Travis Pastrana. Travis Pastrana was just Travis Pastrana, but he was writer number 2.
He was credited as writer number 2. Yeah.
He was Travis Pastrana, though. It's fine.
Thank you for saying that.
Go ahead and skip to the next one.
Catherine Ellis played Farron Henderson.
Michael Cuneo played Renee Cartier.
AJ Buckley played Jimmy Bottles.
And Mark Curry played Bob Arns.
Is it Arns or Arnez?
Arnez, sorry.
Okay.
Gosh, I'm stupid.
Steve Boy directed this film.
It was backed by music curated by Christopher Brady.
Setting the mood for
Joao
was Fernandez.
No, that's his name.
Oh.
Setting the mood for Joao Fernandez cinematography.
Oh. Go ahead. The next one.
And it was all pieced together by Craig Bassett's editing. Craig Bassett returns from Johnny Tsunami, where he worked as the editor. And he also worked there with Steve Boyum, who also directed Stepsister from Planet Weird.
No.
To be clear, because I don't feel like I said that the way that I meant to.
No.
Steve Boyum directed Johnny Tsunami and Stepsister from Planet Weird.
Is this supposed to say Boyum up top, not Steve Boy?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure was.
That makes sense. Got it.
My bad. Yeah, Boyum. Steve Boyum. This is his third DCOM.
Nice.
Kind of briefly scrolling through his IMDb. I think it was the only other one he did, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
But it is interesting to see that those two guys have come back, because I remember when we were talking about Stepsister from Planet Weird, we were like, okay, Steve Boyum sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And then this time I was doing it, and I was like, Steve Boyum, I feel like that sounds familiar, because my brain was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then I just went back onto IMDb and looked it up again. But then Craig Bassett, it was Craig Bassett that caught my eye this time. It was like Craig Bassett, I know, is a returning editor, and he was from Johnny Tsunami. So there you go.
Nice.
And then I've got our Disney Plus summary. I pull these summaries straight off of Disney Plus, so everyone knows that is my source.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, Disney Plus summary. Andy and her twin brother Andrew both love motocross racing, But their dad thinks it's too dangerous for girls and would rather see Andy cheerleading. When Andrew is injured during a practice run against his sister, their dad heads to Europe looking for a replacement rider. Blaming herself, Andy disguises herself as her twin brother to compete in a big motocross race.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. For being a Disney Plus summary on this movie, it sounds like one of us wrote it.
It kind of does, yeah.
Specifically at the end where they say blaming herself, Andy disguises herself. I feel like the word herself is too close together. And that doesn't sound proper to me, but whatever. It's accurate. It's what's happening. So
it does look like something I would have written.
Yeah. I don't know if there's specific things in here, but if it comes up, I'm going to try to. There's a couple things that I was noticing in the movie that I wanted to specifically talk about. If I don't catch it in here, I'll talk about it at the end.
Sure.
We'll jump into the scene by scene, written by Marci Parker and read by two dyslexic kids who can't read. We open with an epic clip by clip of Andrew training on his motocross bike and his twin sister Andrea at a cheerleading competition. We see the twins back and forth, Andrew on his bike jumping through the air and Andrea flipping and tumbling with her teammates and winning the cheer competition. When Andrea and her mom, Geneva, get back home, she is excited to share the news with Andrew. She distracts him while practicing and he crashes, and their dad, Edward, gets upset with Andrea, not seeming to care that she and her team won. Meanwhile, their little brother Jason is working on the world record for mechanics.
I wasn't sure what the exact thing was.
He was trying to beat his personal record for reinstalling the top end on his bike, which is why that becomes relevant later on.
I see. Thank you for explaining.
Got
All
you.
Right. Andrew is stoked for Andrea and her win, but Dad quickly steps in to remind them that Andrew needs to continue his training to get a full sponsorship for his riding. After all, professional races start in just a few weeks. After dinner, Geneva tells the kids that her and their father will be going into town and gone for the day, so the kids will have to fend for themselves. And while the cats are away, the mice will play. So Andrew and Andrea decide they're going to race. But while they're racing, Andrew crashes and hurts his leg, making him unable to ride.
Okay, because I'm thinking about it, because I talked about it right before we started, I'm going to throw it in here. In that scene when they're eating dinner, the mom, Geneva, says something to Edward about the neighbors reporting them or complaining to them about
signing
them
a petition
to the HOA. And I could not help but think, first of all, if you have to, quote, go into town, you live in a rural area.
Yeah.
If you live in a rural area, the chances of having an HOA are so incredibly slim, it's stupid.
Yeah.
If you did live in an HOA, you would not have a dirt bike track in your front yard.
No, absolutely not.
They don't have an HOA. That's all I wanted. That part bothered me. I was like, there's no shot you guys have an HOA you have to fight with
also,
right
it
now.
didn't look like their neighbors were close enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Like...
It doesn't make sense. They're not really in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's like... It's kind of like... It makes me think of like Granddad's property, where he is in a neighborhood.
Right.
But it's not really.
Yeah.
There's a neighbor, but his closest neighbor is like 2 football fields away from him.
Yeah.
Maybe a football field and a half. It might be a
say
little
football
closer,
field.
but
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I just had to get that out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, next we see Edward. Did I skip stuff?
Nope.
No, okay. Next we see Edward packing a bag and getting ready to head overseas to find a new rider, and gets upset when Andrea suggests she takes Andrew's place, because she needs to focus on things, quote, normal 15-year-old girls should be focusing on. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I couldn't agree more. I was literally like, and what's
what?
that? I guess it's in sync or whatever, but
In sync cheerleading.
yeah, exactly. But whatever.
Nail polish. I don't know.
Yeah. Then Andrea decides it's up to her to make things right. When they receive a letter about the races starting,
And that was what
and that if they don't show up for the first race, they won't qualify for the cup. Then at the track, Andrea is practicing and falls off her bike when the other guys run her off the track.
While helping Andrea with her road rash, Andrew tells her that, unfortunately, because she's a girl, that's why the guys were so harsh on the track. So the next day, Andrea decides to make a change and cuts her hair and buys clothes to look just like Andrew. After confusing Jimmy Bottles, a local bike shop owner, Andrew and Andrea go back and forth with him about boots and bike parts. Andrew and Jason find Andrea hiding in the dressing room, but convinces them not to tell their mom, and Andrea will pretend to be Andrew and race until he is better.
Next, we see Jimmy and Andrea loading up the bike into Jimmy's truck and gets caught by Geneva, who quickly shuts down the whole operation. Then, after talking to Jason and Andrea, she decides to pack the truck and take Andrea to the first race. While Andy, registers for the race, Geneva is approached by one of the other racer's sisters/girlfriends. I think she was a trophy girl.
I don't know. She just showed up.
Unsure why the girl is there. Yeah, I think she's a trophy girl.
Okay.
And asks for her help with her nails.
And we're off to the first race, where all the bikes are revving and ready to go. And as the flag drops, Andy gets stuck in the gate and gets a late start, causing her to be stuck in the back and finish in last. After the first race, Andrea and Geneva get back to their truck to see more girls at the table asking for Geneva to do their nails as well. Here is where we meet Dean, a rider with Henderson Racing. We see his friend jealous of Andy because of all the girls, but Dean has his eyes on Farron Henderson, his boss's daughter. But she couldn't care less about Dean.
The next few races, we see Andy get pushed off her bike and come in last place again. Later, after struggling to get the bike in the truck, Dean jumps over and helps push the bike, and then shows her around the Henderson trailer and introduces her to Farron. After impressing him with how well Andy can talk to girls, Dean offers a deal. He will help Andy with racing, and Andy will help Dean with Farron. At first, Andy refuses, but then, after a heart-to-heart with her mom, she takes the deal with Dean.
Next is a really cool montage of Dean and Andy riding through what looks like a desert and doing all kinds of jumps and tricks and epic bike riding. Then, stopping at a lake to take a break, they jump in. Next, we see Andy bump into Farron and talk her up for Dean, and finds out she doesn't want a guy who isn't fully dedicated to her. Then, after finding Andy hiding out in the truck, Dean asks how things went with Farron, to which she breaks the news about how selfish and shallow Farron is, and he should give up on her.
Next, we see Bob Arns, a recruiter interested in sponsoring Andy, asking to talk to them, but is interrupted by a phone call from his boss, and Andy gets to the racing line. Where he finishes, they finish.
I had a hard time.
Finishes 7th. Then, after talking to Dean, Andy decides to give her in-sync tickets to him so he can take Farron and win her over. Then we go into another montage of races with Andy continuing to get better and better, and finally, she wins. But the points she receives from winning puts her in 3rd place for the day.
Oh, okay.
And points. But as they return to the truck, Edward is there and is not happy that they have been lying about Andy racing, after he refused to let her race.
Once they get back home, we're introduced to René Cartier, a French motocross racer who is the new racer that Edward has hired to drive for Team Carson. After a trial run with the bike, René confronts Andrew about his mechanical skills and scoffs when Jason suggests he looks at the bike, saying he'd rather someone who can reach the pedals to work on the bike.
At the track, we see Dean and Farron holding hands walking over to the Carson's truck. When Andy sees him, she quickly puts a racing helmet on Andrew, begging him to pretend to be her, pretending to be him, so Dean won't ask questions. But with a brace on, Dean asks questions anyway. As Andrew, quote, introduces Andy, there is an instant connection, obviously. After their first race with René, Andy sees him working out
Walking
out of none other than the Henderson's trailer. So Andy confronts him, asking him what kind of deal he was making with Mr. Henderson.
When Edward hears Andy accusing Renee of making a deal to leave Carson Racing to join his team, to join Henderson's team, he makes her go apologize. But when her attempt is met with unkindness, Edward fires Renee on the spot and finally admits that Andy is just as good as any of the other racers out there, and he lets her race. But first, Jason has to switch the top end of the racing bike from the practice bike to the racing bike. Sorry.
That's okay.
Which he gets done in record time.
Finally, the payoff. It's time for the big moment. Time for the final race to win the championship. Andy is racing for Carson Racing, and after injuring their rider in the last race, Renee is riding for Henderson Racing. As we watch an epic race between the two riders, we see Geneva hold up a white board warning Andy to watch the last turn, knowing Renee plays tricks. We watch as they approach the final turn. Renee tries to cut off Andy, but she hits the brakes and he flies off the track.
Andy has done it. She's won the championship, and as they're interviewing Andy, Renee runs over and encourages the reporter to ask Andrew what he
meant when he made a sly comment about pulling a quote girl move.
Ask Andrew. Okay. What he meant when he made a comment about pulling a, quote, girl move. And when the reporter goes to ask the question, Renee says, "No, the real Andrew. He's behind you." After some hesitation, the Carsons decide to clear up the intricate web and confess that Andy is indeed Andrea.
Henderson attempts to have her disqualified due to her gender, but is rejected. So he next claims she was never registered. To which Geneva explains Andy, the name she registered with, is short for Andrea. Henderson then exits, knowing he has been bested. Returning to the celebration, the reporter congratulates Andrea and asks the question many are eager to know the answer to: will Phil Rollins honor the sponsorship with a female rider? When we then get the answer from a surprised spectator, the president of Rollins, Barbara, who tells the reporter they wouldn't let anyone else snatch her up.
Back home a couple weeks later, Geneva enters the garage where Andy and Andrew are working on a bike and informs them that their sponsorship check came in and they have enough to hire a 250 rider. Andy excitedly recommends they begin looking for a rider right away, but Geneva suggests Andy check out the guy who stopped by, as he might be the perfect fit. Andy exits the garage to see who this guy could be when she is greeted by none other than Dean. They flirt a little and she informs him that the job isn't his yet. He has to beat her in a 12-lap race first. He agrees, and we cut to them jumping a hill here, and the frame freezes, and the image Noah had in his head the entire time he was watching the movie finally appears on screen, and the credits roll.
So I picked up writing there towards the end because Marci had some work stuff, and so I made her say that. But yeah, no, for real, that last scene, or that last freeze frame,
mm-hmm.
Literally when we first started talking about watching Motocrossed,
yeah,
that image was in my head
the whole time
from that point until it was on the screen at the very end of the movie, and I was like, that's it.
That's where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it was, I didn't, like, my brain wasn't remembering it was a freeze frame. It was like just remembering a picture, which it makes sense now that it was a freeze frame.
It is a picture technically.
Yeah. But yeah, that was stuck in my head the entire time, and it was quite fun.
Yes.
So there you go. That's the end of it. I just said in the credits roll. I literally eliminated any possibility for us to say they all lived crossly ever after.
They all lived motorly after.
Motorly ever afterly. Oh, good Lord.
They all lived revvingly ever after.
We do it anyway, though. Eliminating it from the script didn't matter. Okay. What was your favorite scene in this movie? do you have one? Go.
One of them was when Andy was first registering, and the other guy registering at the same time was like, "Nice manicure, dude."
Right.
And she comes up with like this elaborate excuse. She's like, "Oh yeah,
How it helps the arm bumps.
Yeah, it helps with the arm bumps." And they're like, "Oh." And then like a couple scenes later, you see all the guys have nail polish.
Yeah. What's funny is that so that happens, and then later when she's talking to Dean.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you start winning with that, and all the guys are going to be wearing nail polish.
Yes.
And then of course she wins.
And
then at the very last race, all the guys are wearing nail polish. And I thought that was hilarious. But the funny thing is though, they must have all been wearing that nail polish on the first heat race.
Yeah.
Because she only raced that final section in the second heat race.
Yeah.
Or the last heat race or whatever, I guess. Yeah. So like all those dudes were already wearing the nail polish. She just didn't know because she didn't race. So it's really funny.
Yeah.
I think my first, one of my favorite scenes is when Dean gets like when they go back and Andrew and Andy are there.
Yeah.
And Dean is getting all tripped up because like he clearly has that instant connection with Andy, but like he's fighting with this internal struggle where he's like, I feel like I know you because like I feel like you are Andy, which obviously Andy is Andrea.
Yes.
But he's like, I feel like I know her, but like, how could that be? I've only met Andy before.
Yeah.
And like, he's like this mind effer. And it's like, this guy is struggling so hard with like understanding his feelings at that moment.
Yes.
And then of course the payoff at the end.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I thought that scene was so funny.
I liked how when they revealed that Andy was Andrea, and he was like, "I trusted you. I told you stuff." I'm like, "What did he tell you?"
Honestly, I was like, unless like, there's stuff that was supposed to have happened behind off screen. I'm like nothing you revealed is like crazy.
Yeah, he just talked about how much he liked Farron.
Yeah,
I guess that's.
Ooh.
But like. Yeah.
The goal.
I think he knew that Andrea liked him too, and that's why he forgave her so fast, because he's like, oh, she helped me get Farron even though she liked me, but like she knew I liked her. Yeah. And so like
part of me feels like he was a little bit relieved actually. Yeah. Like he was frustrated and annoyed at first, but then after he was like, actually that explains some of these feelings I've been having. Yeah. I get that now. Yeah. Okay.
I understand.
This is fine.
Yes.
Okay, least favorite scene. I'm gonna say there wasn't really any bad scenes in here. No. I first of all, I hate Renee. Everything about him. I hate when he's in the bedroom. Yes. And then Dad is just like, that's fine. Yeah. My least favorite scene. I wrote something else down here, but I'm changing it because I just thought about it. My least favorite scene is probably the very beginning. Like right after the montage when she gets home after winning the trophy and she's trying to show it off to Andy and to her dad, and her dad is just totally shutting her down. Yeah. And then they go into her room later and she has tons of trophies. And I'm like, how many of those trophies does her dad care about? Yeah. And that broke my heart.
Because they're not motocross.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like she's very clearly good at cheerleading.
Right.
But she's also really good at this motocross thing.
Riding, yeah.
So part of me that I'll get to that in a minute. You give me your least favorite scene first.
No, I agree. It's any scene with Renee.
Dude, I hate Renee.
Like, he's the worst person. There's no redeeming qualities to him whatsoever.
My problem with Renee isn't even that Renee is the way Renee is. Yeah. My problem is that the dad is just like, well, we need an aggressive driver, and he's aggressive. He's like, so you're going to let him take over your daughter's room, which is, first of all, creepy and weird. We're going to just accept the fact that he literally disqualified another rider by injuring him. Yep. He has a horrible reputation in the European riding circuit. Yeah. So like, we're just going to ignore all of that because we really don't want Andy racing that badly. Yeah. If you are that against your daughter racing, just pack up call it a day. Don't even bother racing anymore. I get that's how you make your money now. That's
Yeah, because they make a comment about him quitting his job. Yeah.
To pursue this thing full time. Yeah. Which has clearly been working so far. But like, if you're at that point, man, that you would rather have this jerk take over your house, treat your daughter like crap, treat your sons like crap, and physically harm other riders just so that you can win and get that factory sponsorship, your priority's in the wrong spot.
The wrong spot. Yeah. And like Renee only races that first wave with them.
Yeah.
And then he's instantly with the Henderson team.
Well, it's because he tried to kill his other rider, so he had
Yeah.
to fill the slot somehow.
So like
that was the other thing that bothered me about Henderson is they made him out to be more of a villain.
Yeah.
By letting him sign him. I'm like, that's so yucky.
Yeah, I just wish there were more redeeming qualities for some of them.
At
but
least
like
one. Like give
at
me
least
one.
Like Dean was good because he did switch from Henderson over.
I don't think he was ever a bad guy at any point.
No, never.
And
even though he was on the bad guys team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wild. I was gonna say something, but I can't remember what it was.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, I'll get to that, and then it's gone now.
Bummer.
I'm trying to think of what we were talking about. Dang.
I don't know.
I literally was like, there's not that many scenes I didn't like. And then I literally listed like 12 scenes I didn't like. I don't know.
But it was only with like Renee.
Only Renee and Henderson, really. Yeah.
So, yeah.
The scene in the bike shop cracks me up still.
Yeah.
The poor dude. Like,
poor Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy. And then, like, I love that Andrew is like, I know you've been spraying filters without a mask on or something again.
With the windows closed.
With the windows closed. Yeah. He's like, no. Well, maybe that is it.
He's like, yeah, actually. And then he's like, I just got to get a new prescription. I was like, you already have very thick glasses.
Dude, for real.
Like,
wild.
Man. Jimmy was one of my favorite characters.
It's bothering me, but.
We were talking about.
I'm like, how important was it?
It was before I started talking about my least favorite scene. Because you said, I want to talk about something, but I'll let you see your least favorite scene.
I thought I would have remembered it, but I clearly have not.
You'll remember when we're done recording. It's
probably.
Okay.
That's fine. All right. Second to last question, the penultimate.
Yes.
How did it hold up?
Aside from like how terrible her dad treated her not treated her, but like acted towards her with racing in general.
Yeah.
I think it held up pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's a decent movie then. It's a decent movie now. I don't think it was the best.
No, it wasn't the best, but there was some.
There was a lot of jumpy,
but
plot holes, some jumpiness, a little bit of all over the placeness. But at the end of the day, it was motorcycle racing, and I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons it was kind of hard to write notes for this, because it was like, and at this race, and at the next race, and then during that race. Because it's just like 3 races in a row, and it's just montage after montage.
Wild. Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
What do we give this out of 5 stars? Xenon, we gave 10, I think.
Yeah.
So
I'm giving this one 4.
4?
Yeah.
Will you settle for 3.5 with me?
Yeah.
All right, 3.5 it is. And it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just that this fits in that. So I have my list, right, of movies, and there's the movies that like Xenon.
Yeah.
I might honestly watch that tonight or play it tonight when I'm going to sleep. Yeah. Motocrossed is going to be one of those movies where I'm like, I kind of want to get back and watch a little bit of this motorcycle racing thing.
Sure.
It'd be kind of fun every now and again.
Yeah.
And then there's movies like Ready to Run where I'm going to forget that it exists for a little while.
Until you have to watch it for the
rewatch. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically anything in that room where it's not going to be the first, I guess there's 110. So I don't know. Say if it's not in the first 30 movies that I'm going to run to, it gets that. It's in that middle section for me. And that's kind of where it is.
Okay.
I think.
Sure.
I'm totally happy to have like one big episode at the end. When we get through all 110, have 111th episode where we go through and we re-rank everything, revisit all the rankings.
Sounds fun.
It might be like a 4-parter, but maybe we can re-rank all of the 90s and then we can re-rank all of the 2000s and then all the 2010s.
Sure.
We've got a ways to go to get there. I think this is like the 20th, maybe. If we're even that high. We got a ways to go. But okay, deal. Let's do it.
Deal.
Right on. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We enjoy doing this. It's quite a good time.
Yeah.
Even though so low-key tonight it is 9:40 p.m. This is a lot later than we usually record on anything. but we both had to work and late today. And
Yeah. And I wasn't 100% finished with the notes when
so
I got off work, so we had to like finish when I got here.
Yeah.
So thankfully Noah was
Little
like,
bit of
he's a fast typer and I'm
I am
not.
a fast typer. Not super fast, but I think
creativity in his brain works faster than mine.
Yeah. A little bit tired, a little bit low
Yeah.
energy, I think, but hopefully you guys got through it with us.
Yeah.
Next week we are rewatching and discussing Luck of the Irish, which is technically could be considered a holiday specific one because it's centered around St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
But I'm honestly not bothered by it. The ones that I really want to like save
Halloween, Christmas.
Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah.
Really, there's the only two.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, Irish is Irish. You're always Irish.
You're always Irish.
And you know,
If there's a 4th of July movie, I guess we'll wait till July.
I guess I would do that for that one. But yeah, so that will be next Friday. It'll be available at 6 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcasts and on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
DCOM Kids on all major podcast platforms. If you are looking for the YouTube version and you're already listening to the audio only, head over to YouTube and type in the search bar at Noah Parker _channel. And then there you can find the playlist for all the DCOM Kids episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also go into the description of this podcast wherever you are watching it or listening to it and find the link tree. That'll give you links to both podcasts, DCOM Kids and Noah Parker's World of Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Noah Parker's World of Wonder, we live stream that on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and we release it the next morning as a podcast on the podcast platforms at 6 a.m. Mountain Time.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Wednesday nights, Adriana and I live stream a game of some kind. This time we did trivia again, which we haven't done trivia since we stopped doing trivia night and it became game night. So we were just like, let's jump in and do it one more time.
Yeah.
We'll probably do that on rotation every now and again. But Marci has been awesome and coming over and switching for us for that, which has been freaking huge because switching while playing a board game is really annoying. So that has been a huge help and I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, Luck of the Irish, guys. Search it up on the Disney Plus, Luck of the Irish. Watch it and then meet us here next Friday. But until we see you then, my dear beloved friends, let the wonder take hold.